The Aviation Waltz. Chapter 1.
My mother was a wonderful woman. She taught me everything, made me into the person that I am now. Because of her, I became one of the youngest and most admired graceful ballerinas on Placea. Grace and graciousness, the two things that most high-class Placeans can't seem to mix. Taxes were always high, and only a select group of people were fortunate enough to make enough money to afford fresh food. My family was one of the fortunate ones, but even so, my mother taught me to respect the people lower than us who could only afford to eat garbage. But that didn't matter too much. We Placeans have perfect immune systems. Nothing could make us sick, so the only way we could die was if someone killed us. Or heart failure. I remember that morning clearly, hearing my father's sobs as he found my mother's cold body lying next to him. Her hands were warm when they fell asleep the night before. My father was the perfect image of patriarchal stoicism and authority. And to see him break down like that, it was like my entire world shattered. She was my mother. It never mattered what I did or didn't. She supported my dreams to pursue dance. She loved me unconditionally and wasn't afraid to show it. And then, in the blink of an eye, she was gone. All of a sudden, I had no support. I had no guidance, no one to be proud of what I did. My father, on the other hand, he was always cold to me. My mother used to always tell me that he loved me. It was just hard for him to show it. After her death, I just didn't know what to think of him anymore. He never really supported my dance. He wanted me to do something else. Something not so feminine and ditzy like ballet. A year has passed since my mother's death. I now know what I'm going to do to win my father's approval, and I owe it to a boy named Edillan.
You get off that bike right now, Edelyn Kenston!
Why would I? The clock was already chiming and I was running late. Every day at 5, Scilla would finish practice, hang up her ballet shoes, and brighten the streets with her graceful steps. Voluminous twilight-colored waves flowing in the breeze, and sparkling golden eyes as sweet as honey. The majority of Placeans had light blue hair and blue eyes, so it was rare for someone to be born with purple hair and brown eyes. It was the Placeans' thought of ideal beauty, so it really was a sight to see. Not Scilla, that is, but the other local rich boys who would flock outside the dance studio just to swoon at her beauty.
Hi, Scilla.
Good afternoon.
How are you doing, Scilla?
I'm fine. And how are you?
I'm great.
You're looking radiant today, as usual.
Oh, thank you.
Can I hold anything for you?
No, thank you. I'm fine.
Scilla, there's something I want to give you as a good luck gift for your auditions. I hope you like them.
Oh, roses. Wow, they're lovely. Thank you so much.
You scoundrel!
I couldn't help it. The flowers came out of nowhere. It was like a magic trick. Trying not to cause a scene, I hopped back onto my bike and rode out the square. The locals shot disapproving looks, but I learned to accept it. I stopped in the alley just outside the theater house.
Well, excuse you. We were in the middle of something.
Oh! Teenagers these days can't even hope for a nice afternoon with their existence.
I told you we should have gotten a room.
And there she was, holding that bouquet carelessly at her side, like a tennis racket.
Roses? How cliché is this? I suppose next they'll expect me to fall into their arms so they can carry me off and make sweet love to me. Scilla, you're as radiant as the sun. Well, I'm surprised their eyes haven't burned out of their heads with all the staring they do.
Hi, Scilla.
Hi, Edelyn.
Here's your helmet. So, I counted 4 new lookers today? Have you noticed how each day they dress fancier than the last? I'd watch it if I were you. One of these days, one of them's gonna pull out a ring.
I'd like to see him pull out a gun.
Don't say things like that. Now put your visor down. I don't want your family spotting you on the way to my place.
It's not like they're all over the place.
Well, your brothers are scary.
Only Romain. That big guy was Kang, his friend.
Man, with all these ridiculous laws, it should be illegal to be that big. You ready?
I had only ridden with Edillan on his bike once before. It was a strange feeling at first to be traveling so quickly, but I got used to it and loved the feeling of the wind blowing through my hair. I had known Edelyn from school for a long time, but we hadn't talked much until that summer. His family was the main exporter of mechanical vehicles to the neighboring planet Cosio. The Kenstons weren't well off, and since they handled a lot of gasoline-powered vehicles that polluted the clean planet, they were frowned upon by high-class citizens, including my family. My father was the richest architect in the country, having had worked on corporate skyscrapers of the city. He had even helped to remodel the theater house where I'd performed 12 times in my life. I had never agreed with my father's conservative views, and I admired the fast-paced lifestyle that gas power allowed society. I had always wanted to use the knowledge that my father knew I had, but I wanted to use it to build machines. It seemed that luck had come my way when Edelyn had tripped in front of me at school just weeks before graduation. He was carrying engineering books, and I helped him pick them up, but he'd left in such a hurry that he left one behind. Out of curiosity, I read it before returning it. You left this one behind.
I've been looking for this one. Did you come out here all by yourself?
Yeah.
Wow. Thanks. I guess I'll see you tomorrow at school.
Actually, I wanted to ask you something.
Huh?
I read the entire book.
You what?
And I was hoping you could show me how to make something.
We didn't often meet during the rest of the school year. We had to deal with final exams, and Scilla was constantly busy with her dancing that it took up a lot of our time. I first thought she was going to make a joke of me, but then school got out, and I realized that she didn't have her cliques to tease me. We met after her ballet practice whenever we could, so I could teach her a few things. I didn't want to be one of those boys who gawked at her. At first, I couldn't look at her straight on, so I watched those who watched her and found it a lot more entertaining. When we first got together, I only explained a few concepts to her. I still didn't trust her with the books, but after weeks of meeting up, I decided to let her come by to my house so we could read my sister's books.
We rode deeper into the city and the streets became more packed. Children were following garbage trucks and taking basketfuls of rotten food that the higher class had thrown out. As we kept riding, more of the locals waved to Edelyn as they rode by. I had noticed the last time I was there that although the people in the ghettos were unkempt and straggly, they weren't afraid to smile. In the main city, people walked around with lips pursed and backs stiff. We rode into a small garage beside Edelyn's house.
Here.
Thanks.
Keep your helmet on until we get inside, okay?
Oh, hi there, Eddie. Have a nice ride in the city?
Yes, Mrs. Giba. I'll talk to you later.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Ow! Stop it!
Hey, get that back!
I thought Quine hid the weapons from you. Tack!
Invader! Get out of my house! Charge!
Stop it! Behave! Go away! My little cousin, Tinny. She and Tack get hyperactive when they're not in school. Here, let me take the helmet.
I'm watching you.
Cute.
No, she's a little brat. Where is everybody?
The place was dim, except for the open vents that allowed in the early evening light. I followed Edelyn further into his house and past weakly flickering orange lights. Their old, intricate floral wallpaper was curling around the edges, and the exposed drywall was speckled with black mold. The carpet looked like it might have once been plush, but the pile was now plastered together with mud and, remnants of past dinners. There was a peculiar stinging scent wafting into my nostrils, and my eyes were just beginning to water when another girl holding a knife popped her head out of the doorway.